Here we learn an approach to pediatric tachycardias. The approach is based on Paal's tachycardia algorithm. The most recent Pediatric Advanced Life Support course has given 4 algorithms for tachycardia. These are tachycardia initial management, tachycardia with poor perfusion, narrow complex tachycardia with adequate perfusion, and wide complex tachycardia with adequate perfusion. This often makes it quite difficult to understand by the examinee, and here hence I have tried to simplify the same. So starting straight away, if you have a patient with tachycardia, the heart rate is increased by more than 2 standard deviations above the normal, then you manage airway, breathing, and circulation. Circulation in the sense that you ensure that at least an intravenous or an intraosseous access is there. Along with this, simultaneously, you try and identify the cause of tachycardia, and also simultaneously, you assess if the patient is stable or not. Stable means hemodynamically stable. That is, the patient has no hypotension or shock or any other evidence of compromise of perfusion to any organ. So if the patient is not stable, then you immediately go for synchronized cardioversion. However, if the patient is stable, then you do an ECG and look at the QRS duration. So here the difference is that you have to first examine the patient clinically to see whether or not he is stable and then do the QRS duration in the ECG. This is a difference from the earlier guidelines which used to start the algorithm from the QRS duration itself. So there are two possibilities. The QRS duration may either be less than equal to 0.09 seconds, that is, it is a narrow QRS complex. The possibilities are two. First is it can either be a sinus tachycardia or it can be a supraventricular tachycardia. Both these types of tachycardias are atrial tachycardias. The other possibility is that the QRS complex is more than 0.09 seconds wide. That is, it is referred to as a wide QRS complex. Again, there can be two possibilities. First is supraventricular tachycardia with QRS aberrancy, and the next option is a ventricular tachycardia. So if it is a narrow QRS complex tachycardia, that is QRS duration less than equal to 0.09 seconds, then it can be a sinus tachycardia or it can be a supraventricular tachycardia, which we had seen in the previous flowchart. Now, how do you differentiate whether or not it is sinus or supraventricular tachycardia, since both are atrial tachycardias? A few differentiating points very important to remember, especially in clinical practice, are as follows. First, in sinus tachycardia, the history will be compatible with the known cause, while in supraventricular tachycardia, no definite history can be elicited. In sinus tachycardia, the P waves are present, while in SPT, the P waves are characteristically usually absent. The RR interval is variable. This is referred to as beat-to-beat variability, which is present in sinus tachycardia. Actually, the heart rate normally also differs with inspiration. It increases in inspiration and it decreases in expiration. So this is referred to as sinus tachycardia. While in supraventricular tachycardia, the RR interval is constant. The PR interval is constant in ST, while it is variable in supraventricular tachycardia. The heart rate in infants is less than 220 per minute in sinus tachycardia, while it is more than 220 per minute in supraventricular. While in children, this is less than 180 per minute, while it is more than 180 per minute in supraventricular tachycardia. So if we see, we'll find that the sinus tachycardia has a normal sinus rhythm, like a P wave, then a Q, R, and S, something like this. While a supraventricular tachycardia, it would appear as there will be no P wave, Q, R, S, this like this. Okay. So if it is a sinus tachycardia, you must search for and treat the cause. And these causes can be remembered by the mnemonic 6H and 5Ts. Now what are these 6 H's and 5 T's? These 6 H's are, first is hyper. Hyper is either hyperkalemia or increased hydrogen ions. These increased hydrogen ions, it is referred to as acidosis. While hypo is hypothermia, hypokalemia, hypoxia, and hypoglycemia. Understood? And the 5 T's are trauma, tension pneumothorax, tamponade, and thrombosis. This thrombosis can either be a pulmonary thrombosis or it can be a systemic thrombosis. If it is a supraventricular tachycardia, then you need to give IV or intraosseous adenosine or synchronized cardioversion if it does not respond to the pharmacotherapy. Vagal maneuvers may be tried during the time interval you are arranging for adenosine. These vagal maneuvers are, for example, doing a carotid massage or placing an ice bag on the face. Next, if it is a wide complex tachycardia, then again there are two possibilities. First is SVT with QRS aberrancy and the second is ventricular tachycardia. So if it is an SVT with QRS aberrancy, you need to give IV adenosine 1 to 2 doses. Then if it does not revert, then you may consider amiodarone or procainamide, and if it still does not revert, then you must consider synchronized cardioversion. While if there is ventricular tachycardia, then you have to first consider amiodarone procainamide, or if not responsive, then IV adenosine, and finally cardioversion. Again here. Remember, the drug of choice for polymorphic ventricular tachycardia is IV Maxil, which was also referred to as Torsades T points, often asked in exam and especially in the PALS cheat sheet examination. Now coming on to the doses. Adenosine is given 0.1 mg per kg rapid IV up to 6 mg maximum first dose. You may repeat at the rate 0.2 mg per kg maximum 12 mg in the second dose. Amiodarone is given 5 mg per kg over 30 to 60 minutes and procainamide 15 mg per kg over 30 minutes. Synchronized cardioversion 0.5 to 1 joules per kg for the first dose, followed by 2 joules per kg in the next dose, that is the second dose, and defibrillation, which is done in pulseless VT or VF. The dose is 2 joules per kg for the first shock, followed by 4 joules per kg for the second shock. So if we now wish to summarize our algorithms, then we see that if a patient presents to us with increased heart rate, the first thing you have to do is that you have to examine the patient clinically and assess whether or not he is stable. Stable means hemodynamically stable. Along with this, you have to simultaneously manage airway, breathing and circulation. So if he is not stable, then you have to go for synchronized cardioversion. So this part of the algorithm is the algorithm for poor perfusion. Tachycardia with a poor perfusion. This part of the algorithm deals with it. Now coming on to the next part. If the patient is stable, then you do a 12 lead ECG and see for the QRS duration. Now there can be two possibilities. First, if the QRS duration is less than equal to 0.09 seconds and if it is more than 0.09 seconds. So if it is less than 0.09 seconds, then there can be two possibilities again. First is the sinus tachycardia and the other is supraventricular tachycardia. Both of them are narrow complex tachycardias, atrial tachycardias, and sinus tachycardias characteristically have the P wave while the SVT does not have. Sinus tachycardias have RR variability where SVT does not have. So if it is a sinus tachycardia, you can identify a definite cause. You search for the cause and treat it. The most common causes are 6 H's and 5 T's, which we had seen earlier in the video. If it is a supraventricular tachycardia, then you must consider IV adenosine by the rapid push method, and if does not revert, then you have to go for synchronized cardioversion. Meanwhile, here you can try vagal maneuvers if you have the time to do so. If it is a tachycardia with wide QRS complex, that is more than 0.09 seconds, again there are two possibilities. First is an aberrant SVT, that is SVT with aberrant QRS, and the other is a ventricular tachycardia. So if it is an SVT, you have to go to this algorithm. Here what you have to do is that for SVT with aberrant QRS, here you can consider IV amiodarone or procainamide. While if it is a ventricular tachycardia, the drug of choice is IV amiodarone or procainamide at the first hand, and if it does not revert, then you have to go for IV adenosine, and if it does not respond to adenosine as well, in the end, then you go for synchronized cardioversion. Here you have to remember what has not been mentioned in this pulse clearly, that if it is a polymorphic ventricular tachycardia, referred to as Torsades T points, twisting of the QRS complex along an axis of the baseline of the ECG, then the drug of choice is IV magnesium sulfate. So this is in short the pediatric tachycardias revised as per their PALS algorithm. So while this part of the algorithm was for poor perfusion, this part is for adequate perfusion. This part is for approach to tachycardias with adequate perfusion. I hope this is now clear. Thanks, and do share the knowledge.